Hi, my name is Pavlos Loizou, and I'm the CEO of Askwire, a real estate data analytics company active in Cyprus and Greece. This is a presentation I gave a couple of days ago at the first Proptech conference here in Athens, where I talked about how companies and individuals can leverage open data to optimize decision making, but also improve financial performance, either by generating more sales or by reducing costs. Let's kick off with what are the problems around real estate. And of course, the main problem that real estate has compared to other asset classes is that every property is different. What that means is that you need to go out and measure the property, find out how the surroundings are, find about the characteristics, who is inside, and so on and so forth. And that reduces the scope to automate and standardize products and services. So what we try and do is to collect open data as well as from other sources and build the profile of each and every property in a country, which then allows our clients to leverage that property profile so that they can move on from there to automate the decision making. So let's go to open data. So open data has to do with the EU Open Data Directive that basically calls for governments to open their databases to third parties, basically to everybody else, free of charge, right? So if the land registry or the statistics department, Department of the Environment, and so on and so forth, has some data, then they need to open that out to everybody else, obviously taking into consideration GDPR and other concerns. Now, that data, once you have it, you need to know, of course, how to analyze it and how to bring it together to address a specific problem. But you can help it, you can use it to help you with your decision making. And as we said, we can help you unlock digital channels and reach the end consumers because you know through the open data exactly what the property is all about, which means that if I'm an insurance company, just by giving me the address, I can price my risk associated with that specific location and that specific property. But of course, it all has to do with regulatory reporting as well, right? I mean, we hear a lot of corporates, a lot of banks talking about ESG reporting, about the environment. And of course, this information is now available or becoming more and more widely available across the European Union. So they can use that data to optimize their reporting to the regulator, but also to make better decisions when it comes to granting, for example, green loans and so on and so forth. Now, let's move on to what's open data in real estate, and I apologize in advance about this heavy slide. So when we talk about real estate and open data, we're talking about property information about location, size, age, and so on and so forth, town planning and what type of uses. So is it residential? Is it commercial? Is it industrial? Ownership and transaction history. So how many properties have sold? Who, at what prices have they been sold? What was sold? Okay, it was a house. How big was the house? What age was the house? And so on and so forth. Taxes, right? So what are the tax rates in a specific area? Environmental data that we also mentioned earlier. So earthquakes, flood risk, and so on and so forth. And of course, socioeconomic data that have to do with who lives in that area, what age group are they in, what socioeconomic background do they have, are they educated, to what level of education do they have, and so on and so forth. So this is very important information that governments have already gathered and are holding for us. Now, when we move on to open data in Greece in particular, we see that overall Greece is a bit further down, below average, the average. Having said that, it's accelerating fast up the curve. So yeah, Greece is sort of lagging right now, but it's at the top end of what is called the beginners, and it's sort of about to jump into the followers. And we see that because in the what we are seeing is that the last year actually Greece had the highest growth in API usage in the whole of Europe, close to 94%, which basically it shows that yes, the country is behind, it's a laggard, but it's sort of accelerated forward, adopting open data, open the databases, making more services available to the public. And already we can see that the data.gov.gr, the government website on open data, already has 10,500 data sets available, and they keep adding them every couple of weeks. So this is great. So the open data is there. It's a great source for everyone, but at the same time, it's also something that is it hasn't really been sized up or seized by anyone, probably because it's so new. And at the same time, people are not really sure what they're going to do with this data. So let's look at how we at Esquire built property profiles. So what we do, we use the data from the EU's Open Data Directive. So we gather information like geology, soil quality, flood risk, environmental zones, the data from the land registry like size of a property, building area, building age, the road network, and so on and so forth. And we enrich that with third-party APIs like, for example, traffic data from Google or climate change data from Copernicus, they use service. We then acquire satellite images, really high resolution satellite images that allow us to zoom in at specific areas, sort of analyze them and get even more data about tree coverage or where somebody starts new construction. And then we sort of bring everything together. That allows us to build for each and every property. And when I say property, I don't mean only building. I also mean parcels of land, their profile. So the profile starts from what's underground until everything above it. So we do that for the entire country. So it's each and every property across the whole of Cyprus, across the whole of Greece, and hopefully soon across Romania. On top of that, we've built or we're building three solutions. One, we call it real estate dynamics. So that maps asking prices and transactions. So you can see the depth of the market in every micro location. Environmental data. So that's very useful, obviously, for insurance companies and for ESG reporting. And then we use that data also for lead generation. So if somebody breaks ground and starts new construction, that's very useful data for somebody, for example, who sells windows or air conditioning or solar panels, right? They can approach the contractor from the get-go and tell them, look, this is what I'm selling. Would you like me to provide you with an offer? Rather than being reactive, not really knowing about what's happening. So you can actually map these things almost real time. So let me give you an example of what one of our clients has used here in Greece. So what they've done is, we ran it in December 2022. So we collected all the properties that were in the foreclosure process, so in the auction process for the area of Glyfada here in Athens. What we see here is the number of properties in a specific location, the total value, and the average value per property. We then mapped out who were the sellers of this property. So who was taking the property to auction for each and every one of them. Then we mapped out when are these auctions going to take place, right? So we see that there were almost 30 auctions taking place in December, then around 35, 38 in January, and so on and so forth. So we were able to visualize for our client what's coming. And then this was the cool bit. We were able to benchmark what was the asking price of residential properties, so apartments in this case, in auctions, that's the line in green, compared to what the asking price is on the various portals that you see from aggregators. So so let's call it estate agents or others are asking the line in sort of gold or pastel over here, whilst we see that the properties that are going to auction are about 40% lower, right? So you can able to benchmark what the gap is and which properties appear at least to be undervalued. We then mapped each and every property that was for sale in our mapping tool that we call RED. And then on the back of that, you can click on a specific dot and actually see the specific characteristics of a property. So you can see the photo, where we have it, description, area, zoning, and so on and so forth. This is actually quite a cool way to monitor what's happening in the market and get a lot of value out of it. If you're a developer, if you're a real estate investor, if you're a fund, if you're a bank. So this is a pretty cool way to actually track what's happening in the market real time, because all of this stuff is updated daily. Let's shift though and go into environmental data. So let's look at these two maps. So what does this show us? So the map on the left is Athens, right? So the municipality of Athens. What we're seeing in different colors here is noise. So the level of noise in different parts of Athens. So we can see up here in dark green is the Acropolis. So we're seeing that it's sort of nice and quiet over there. But then if you look down at Syntagma Square, where Parliament is and where the main retail area and so on and so forth, that's quite noisy. You can see that those noise levels across the main commercial roads across Athens municipality is there. So this is a very good way for people to know where is noisy and where it isn't, where the local municipality or other organization should put up some sound barriers, sort of manage policy through that way. Similarly, if we come to the other map, that shows flood risk. So we just chose to map 3 levels of risk, high, moderate, and low. So pretty much, very simple. You are able to click on a specific property. It pins you exactly where the property is, and that comes back with the associated risk level. So ideally, what you would expect to find is that properties located in this area, which has a low flood risk, they would be charged a lower insurance premium rather than if you are here or here, right? Makes sense. So this is how this data can be used. Can also be used in the same way for a bank that wants to look at the ESG component or how exposed they are to different environmental risks, or of course by an individual who wants to have a better appreciation about the property that they are buying. Great. So let's move to something pretty cool that my colleagues developed. So this very complicated and very cool map is a map of Glifada municipality located on the southern part of Attica. So what we are seeing here on the left is they've mapped each and every building block, right? So this is like a group of buildings that is bounded by 4 streets. So they've mapped each and every group, and they've developed a score that ranks the energy efficiency of each building block. So what they've done is they've taken the age of the building, they've taken how the people that live in each building and in each building block, how they heat their home, how they heat water, what they use to cook, and they've used that data to come up with their own energy score. Think of it like the energy performance assessment, sort of like a hybrid, so that they are ranked. So we see that a lot of the properties in red, so the lower performance are sort of further on the north, while the green are further on the south. But then what they did is that they came and said, okay, if we were to upgrade the energy performance of each of all of these buildings, which one should we start off with, right? Should we start off with an apartment that is worth, let's say, 100K, and you need 20,000 euro to improve its energy performance? Or should you start with a 1 million euro house that you also need 20,000, or a home that is 500,000 and you need 20,000? So if the cost is the same, it's a big assumption, of course, but if the cost is the same, how do you prioritize where to go first? So, in our example, you're unlikely to go for the high value property that needs a small level in monetary terms for the energy upgrade, because probably the owner could afford to do that themselves. At the same time, if the energy upgrade is 20,000 and the whole apartment is worth 100K, then most likely you don't want to give a loan if you're a bank towards a property that has those characteristics. So you would expect the local government or the national government to support that individual or that family to upgrade their energy performance of their home. So that helps not only score or rank where to start off with in terms of marketing your products and services, but also more importantly, how to prioritize even within a simple area or within, on a building block level, where you should take action first and how your pitch is supposed to be. Thank you all for your time. I hope I hear from you soon. Feel free to reach out however you want to. Thanks.